Welcome to the Wealth is in the Details podcast. In this podcast, financial planner Peter Raskin helps families and business owners understand and prepare for their wealth journey. Along the way, thoughtful and detailed planning can provide clarity and confidence as clients confront a multitude of financial decisions. Listen in as Peter shares stories and insight into people's wealth journeys. Now, let's get into today's podcast.
Hello and welcome to Wealth is in the Details with Peter Raskin from Raskin Planning Group. Peter, my man, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Eric. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good, dude. I just enjoy our time together. It's so much fun. I learn a ton, and I know, because I'm on the sneak preview team here, I know you've got a couple guests on. I'm so excited about this because November, each year, we celebrate Veterans Day. In honor of veterans, I know you wanted to do a series of podcasts about veterans. And as we were talking about before the podcast started, my father's a veteran, so I appreciate what you're doing. But I want to know, what are we talking about today?
Thanks, Eric. And so glad for your dad and thank him for his service in the past. So there's just two objectives for this podcast. These are my objectives. If our listeners are veterans, or if our listeners have friends or family members that are veterans, I'm hopeful that the information we'll discuss is going to help someone. And then secondly, I hope our non-veteran listeners will benefit as well in that, you know, we need to become more aware of the important things that are vital and necessary. I'm hopeful that the information we'll talk about today is going to help someone. And then secondly, I hope our non-veteran listeners will benefit as well, in that they'll become more aware of the services that are vital and necessary for those that have given just so much for our country. We ask a lot of a small group of citizens, and I think we need to do as much as possible to support and hold up those vets and their families.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I know the largest and most influential organization to assist veterans, from what I've heard, is the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Right. And today I know you'll be talking to two employees at the VA that focus on disability compensation, careers and employment and education and training.
Yeah, that's right, Eric. I want to introduce Cathy Battles. She's the Veterans Service Center Manager in the Boston VA Regional Office. These are long titles. And Alyssa Hayes, who's the Supervisory Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor. So welcome, Cathy and Alyssa. I thank you so much for doing this. Before we begin, could you spend just a few minutes introducing yourself and what makes you so passionate about what you do?
Hi, Peter. My name is Cathy Battles, and I am Service Center Manager for Boston VA Regional Office, like you mentioned. I think that what drives me here is that I am or was a military spouse, and I am now a veteran spouse. My husband is a veteran. I served in the Navy and in the Coast Guard for almost 18 years, and that experience as a military spouse sort of steered me into the VA world. And especially when I started there, I became interested in disability compensation. And VA is one that offers all sorts of career growth opportunities. And I became a claims examiner and transitioned into a decision maker. And just about 10 years ago, stepped into leadership. And I'm proud to be here at VA for 28 years and now the division chief. So,
well, thank you, your husband for his service and you for your service. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Alyssa?
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much again for allowing me to come on today to talk with you about our Veteran Readiness and Employment Program. My name, once again, is Alyssa Hayes, and I am a Supervisory Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor with the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program. This program is also commonly known as the VRE program, and my specific office is located in the Boston Regional Office. I began my work with the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program as a vocational rehabilitation counselor back in 2015, and I transitioned to leadership as a supervisory vocational rehabilitation counselor just this year in 2022. I'm very passionate about the work I'm involved in within the VRNE program because it's an honor for me to work with our nation's service members and veterans. In the VRNE program, I have the unique opportunity to witness individuals work towards their goals within employment and independent living. And I'm looking forward to sharing more about this information with you today.
Oh, great. I so appreciate what you both do. And why don't we start with Cathy? Cathy, my understanding is that a service person must have a service-connected disability to qualify for disability compensation and education and the employment side of benefits. So let's start there. When and how does a veteran file a claim for compensation for an injury or an illness incurred during active duty military service?
Sure. A service member actually, while they're still in service on active duty, can file for disability compensation by utilizing one of the pre-discharge claim programs. In this program, the goal is to provide the service member with an in-service exam to examine that disease or that injury that they may have incurred in service. And the goal there is then to provide a decision on that claim 30 days or less following discharge from active duty. Or when they become veterans after discharge, at any time, a veteran can apply for disability compensation for an injury or illness that was incurred in or caused by active duty service.
Cathy, who are the who and what are the challenges? What are the claims? What's this process look like? Give us a little bit more detail about that.
Sure, I can do that for you. So let's start with the veteran. What is a veteran? Okay, a veteran is a person who served in the active military, naval, air, or space service who is discharged or released under conditions other than dishonorable. So we'll start there. A veteran has something that's a disease or an injury that occurred in service. So what they would do is file a disability claim. How do you do that? You can fill out a VA form 21-526EZ. If it's a claim that was previously denied, it's a different form. VA is particular about their forms. It's VA form 20-0995. The easiest way to do it is to submit the claim online. So any veteran can get on va.gov, va.gov, and file a claim for disability compensation online. This is a process that involves gathering evidence now. So not only does the veteran need to say, okay, I served on active duty in one of these branches, but here are the kinds of things I'm experiencing symptom-wise. If they don't know what they're diagnosed with, that's okay. Just list your symptoms and VA will figure it out. VA will send you to an exam. VA will also take a look at your private medical records. And once they have everything all in line and all that evidence is gathered up, VA will then review all the evidence and then let the veteran know if they've been service connected, meaning that disability or those residuals from disability or disease incurred in service is connected to military service. That now we have a disability that's service connected. The VA takes a rating schedule, and this is all in the 38 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 4. They have a rating schedule, which is a guide in the evaluation of a disability resulting from all diseases and injuries incurred in service. What they do, they take that examination report and they apply it to this evaluation schedule, which will place a percentage on that disability that is meant to compensate the considerable loss of working time due to those symptoms or residuals of that disability. So the veteran gets a percentage. That evaluation percentage is associated with a monetary amount. That's the compensation, and that is paid out to the veteran every single month. How long does that last? Is it forever? Well, I can't give a general response to that. Every veteran is different. Every disability is different. But yes, a veteran can be entitled to that monthly compensation amount for his or her lifetime.
That's fascinating. And how long does that process typically take? Is it typically that quick? Is it 30 days?
It could be 30 days. What VA tries to do is make a decision on a claim under 125 days. That's VA's goal.
So, I know in what I've heard about recently is the PACT Act, which is the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics Act that was recently passed. It's been in the news, so I thought it would be helpful for you to talk about what this new legislation is going to do for veterans.
Sure. The new law, it expands VA healthcare and benefits for veterans exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. So what kind of toxic substances? Well, we're talking about Agent Orange. We're talking about burn pits, radiation for veterans of the Vietnam era, Gulf War era, and post 9/11 era. This will open up all sorts of benefits in the healthcare field. It allows veterans to enroll in a service that the healthcare provides, where they, interview veterans and get their experiences down in a research mode, so they can compile all that data and then maybe even add to the list of presumptive conditions. With this act, they added over 20 new presumptive conditions and new locations for veterans to be able to file for disability claims and have these presumptively granted. And what I mean by presumptively means all a veteran needs to do is provide proof, or even VA will do that for them, that they served at a certain time in a certain location, and their exposure to those toxic substances will be presumed. It'll be assumed. It'll be, verified and confirmed. And then all a veteran will need to do is provide evidence that this disability actually exists and the kinds of symptoms and residuals that they experience. And then VA will apply that evaluation percentage that I was talking about before. So it opens up VA for a lot of claims coming in. That's one of our challenges, is that we expect a volume of claims to come in, and we just have to make sure that we're doing our very best to serve those veterans as efficiently as possible and getting those decisions done.
Any sense of how many claims you might be seeing over the next 12 months?
No, we haven't got any of that sort of data yet. We're expecting thousands of more claims than we normally would get. Yeah. So we're doing a lot of hiring. We're doing a lot of technological advancements to make our claims processors' time used more efficiently. We're looking into automated benefits delivery. We have lots of changes coming with VA.
Well, I think when there are challenges, there are often benefits to those that are receiving those benefits. So let's hope that rolls out smoothly. It's fantastic. Alyssa, a veteran's been approved for a service-connected disability. So then how does the VA help veterans with the education, the training, employment, and housing benefits? Those are your areas.
Yes, absolutely. And when veterans log on to their ebenefits.va.gov account, they are able to take a look at all the various benefits that they might be able to pursue. One of the most common benefits that a lot of our veterans hear about is the GI Bill, and that involves education and housing benefits. But for my specific program that I am employed in, Veteran Readiness and Employment, this is an employment goal focused program, and its focus is specifically on individuals' needs towards obtaining and maintaining employment. So once veterans receive their service-connected disability conditions, as Cathy had described beforehand, if they are in need of assistance with their independent goals or employment goals, veterans can learn furthermore about the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program under our va.gov website, va.gov. And on this website, it lists the eligibility criteria for our program to determine if veterans are eligible in order to submit an application for our services.
Can you give some examples of eligibility?
Absolutely. So once a veteran is eligible for services, they have a disability condition rating of at least 10% or more, and they're able to apply to our program. And on va.gov, it lists other criteria in order for them to meet these specific needs in order to apply for our program criteria.
And specifically, what would those look like? What would those give us some examples of what that training, employment training, and housing benefits, what would it look like?
Okay, excellent. So specifically when veterans apply to the Veteran Readiness and Employment Program, they're then scheduled with a vocational rehabilitation counselor for an initial appointment to determine if a veteran is found entitled to our program. So veterans may be found eligible for the VRNE program, but there's a difference in determining whether or not a veteran is found entitled. Since the Chapter 31 VRNE program is a needs-based program, the vocational rehabilitation counselor must meet with the veteran to determine if their disability conditions contribute to challenges and or barriers with the veteran obtaining or maintaining employment that is suitable for their disability conditions. And all of this information is gathered during the initial appointment with the counselor. Counselors will have typically about a 60 to 90-minute appointment with their veterans to review education history, employment history, transferable skills, disability conditions, legal history, etc., to determine if there is a need for our services. And once veterans are found entitled to the Chapter 31 program, what's really special about our program is that each of our veterans have their own plan unique to their specific needs that will assist them with achieving their employment or independent living goals. So for example, through the process of vocational exploration and counseling with the veterans counselors, veterans goals will be identified with the counselors, and veterans plans are developed, and they're unique to their own needs and individualized based on the services and supports necessary to assist veterans with achieving their goals. Specifically relating to employment, we have 4 different tracks that veterans can pursue and develop a plan with their counselors. One of those tracks is reemployment, and this track specifically focuses on veterans returning to work for their former employer, former employment, and the Chapter 31 VRNE program will support employers in meeting the veterans' needs to return to that specific employment. The second track of plan of services that we can work with our veterans on is rapid access to employment. And this track focuses on veterans pursuing employment with their existing skill set. So they may already have the education, work experience, transferable skills to start job searching and are ready to go out and about and sit down for interviews for specific jobs that they are looking at becoming employed in. The third track that we have is self-employment. And this track focuses on assisting veterans with starting a business. And then the last track that we have in our program, it's, I would say a large number of our veterans are pursuing this track for their plan of services under Chapter 31. And this is employment through long-term services. This track assists veterans with pursuing education and training to work in a field that does not worsen any of the veterans' disability conditions. While veterans are in training, they may be eligible for subsistence allowance benefits, which consist of a monthly stipend that VRNE will pay to the veterans that will help with additional expenses veterans may have while they are in training. And then last but not least, if veterans are not able to return to work because of the severity of their disability conditions, veterans may be able to pursue a track of independent living. And these services will assist veterans with living as independently as possible. And all of these tracks towards employment and also independent living are customized to the veteran-specific unique needs. And the vocational rehabilitation counselors will meet with their veterans on a consistent basis and provide case management services to their veterans to make sure that they are receiving necessary supports towards reaching their goals. So for example, when I was a vocational rehabilitation counselor, if my veterans were in school, I met with my veterans for their standard supervisory appointments to review the veterans' progress in their training, such as reviewing their grades, their GPA, how they are doing in their coursework. And I met with them to ensure that they had the necessary tools and supports to proceed with training in their program. Some of the additional supports that veterans may need while they are in training may have to do with their health care. And vocational rehabilitation counselors can coordinate with the VA healthcare to make sure the veterans' needs are met through a process of referrals that counselors can send on over to the healthcare side of the VA.
Hi, this is Catherine Broy from the Raskin Planning Group. Apologies for the interruption. Thanks so much for listening to Wealth is in the Details. We hope you're enjoying it so far. If you have any questions or would like to talk more about this topic, please visit our website at www.raskinplanning.com. Look for the podcast's show notes and connect with us via social media.
You know, what I see is so challenging for the VA and ultimately the veterans is just everything is so integrated. You know, you've got a disability of some sort that is service related. That's a piece of it that moves you into eligibility. But then you've got all the health challenges of a disability. You've got all the employment challenges, the training, the housing. You know, these are all vital to our well-being, and that must be such a challenge for the VA as an organization to integrate all these things. And then, most importantly, it must be such a challenge for the veterans themselves.
Absolutely, and it's what we try. The counselors are there to help provide any types of services that a veteran may need in order to achieve their goals, specifically related towards employment and independent living, and however else we can assist with making sure they have the necessary tools and services to move forward with their goals in life is what our goal is, and within the VRNE program. So, you know,
I imagine that community outreach is vital, so the veterans know that there's this assistance. You know, especially after their service has ended. You know, if a disability occurs after they've retired from the service, they need to know that these services are available. So I got to imagine during COVID this was really tough. How do you see these outreach strategies? How have they been affected by the world we've been in the last few years? And how do you get that word out to these to the service people?
During COVID, unfortunately, our outreach activities were very limited at that time because we were, you know, everyone was trying to figure out how, you know, what can we do to still, you know, provide those resources and engage with our community, even though everything was in a virtual environment at that time. And since we were limited with virtual meetings, we weren't able to physically attend events to meet with veterans and to provide information about the Chapter 31 program. So we were able to focus in on connecting with schools or connecting with other community agencies to conduct community outreach. And through the virtual environment we have been in within the past couple of years, I personally feel as if this has opened the doors for more opportunities to conduct this outreach. We're able to conduct outreach to more veterans, because more veterans are able to log into the meeting or informational session to learn about the VRE program. We also have employment coordinators in our office who conduct outreach at career events and other events that involve veterans and employers, so that we can continue to spread information and the word about our program, so that veterans can learn about benefits that they might be eligible for.
Cathy, do you have any thoughts about the outreach?
Right. You hit the nail on the head when you said when the pandemic hit, how that impacted our ability to reach those veterans, not just out there in the state, but even in the city of Boston. So we weren't shut down too long. We were only shut down a couple months. We reopened our doors as soon as we could in July of 2020. And we've been open every single day since then. So we are open at Boston Regional Office at the JFK building. You can walk right in, or during the pandemic, VA created something called VeraTool, and that's VERA. And VeraTool is an online appointment service. And if you go to Google and you type in VERA, it'll pop right up. It's vets.force.com. And veterans can make appointments now with regional offices, either virtually or in person. So if a veteran does not feel comfortable coming into a federal building or traveling on mass transit or anything like that, come on Vera, make your appointment, and one of our benefits counselors will speak to you virtually over the phone, however you want, and help you with any sort of benefit service or questions you might have, filing a brand new claim, checking on a claim that was already filed. And we're also, happy to say that our outreach is coming back. We are at, like Alyssa said, we are at job fairs now, community events. We're at VA hospitals. We were just at the Brockton VAMC Expo just a couple months ago. We are developing a claims clinic. Hopefully in the local Boston area, we'll have a claims clinic in conjunction with the hospital, and we'll be there in person to serve veterans. What we're trying to do is come up with more virtual ways to reach veterans that cannot come into the city or have difficulty with virtual connectivity. We want to get out there to the underserved and find ways to get out there more often and find easier ways to get in touch with veterans and answer their questions about benefits.
Yeah, it just must be an ongoing challenge for such a large organization is just communicating. Communicating to the veterans that some of them may not even know they need the services or the services are available. So it must be the real hard part of your role.
It is, and I think we have a really great relationship with the VA hospitals who will reach out to us when they see a veteran in need. They come in for healthcare reasons, and the examiners or the providers will find out that that veteran is not receiving a monthly compensation amount from the Veterans Benefits Administration, and they'll make a contact with us and say, hey, we have someone here who needs your help. We also work with the homeless shelters in the city and around the area, and when they have an outreach opportunity with a homeless veteran, they get in contact with us and they say, hey, we have someone here who could really use your help. So we're still working on that word of mouth technique, which is a little antiquated, but it works. Yeah.
It does. So many of our listeners are just not veterans, and I think it's important to help them know what they can do to support the vets in our community that are receiving benefits because of these service-connected disabilities. Is there anything that small business owners can do? We have a lot of listeners that are small business owners, and so I'm just curious: are you reaching out to that segment of our population, and what can we do to help?
If I could offer some advice to any small business owner out there or anybody who is has an opportunity to hire a veteran, that right there is a key population in our workforce. And if you've got some opportunities, career growth, a personal growth, an opportunity for a veteran, reach out to them and support them in compassionate ways to help them in any kind of direction they want to go in, whether it's personal or a career choice.
Exactly. And along with what you said, Cathy, a lot of our veterans, they have intangible skills that the veterans acquire or develop during their military service. So they can offer a specific skill set that other individuals may not be able to offer because they have their own military service in their background. So definitely encourage small businesses to look at hiring veterans in all aspects of their business because of what they can provide to the company.
If a small business owner is interested in hiring a veteran, are there places they can reach out to directly, kind of shake the tree and say, hey, I am interested. What can I do to bring those veterans into our company?
Yes, absolutely. In our Boston office, we have 2 employment coordinators that we actually have employers can reach on out to our employment coordinators to let them know of specific openings that they might have within their company. And this information can be shared with our veterans if it's something that if the company is something that they're looking at pursuing at that time. So definitely, I would encourage small businesses to research and to find out where their VA regional offices are located around them to see if they can specifically get in contact with the VRNE program, because any types of job leads is very important for our program and our work with our veterans, because once our veterans are under employment services searching for jobs, this is all very helpful.
If we have listeners that have specific questions or want to know more about these programs, what do they do? Who do they call?
I think that, one of our best improvements we've made throughout VA is va.gov. That is a website that not only provides information on what is a disability compensation claim, how do I apply, can I do it by mail, can I do it online? All of that information is there. It also talks about healthcare and burial services, education. It's really just an improved website now that has all sorts of information and ways to apply for these things. They can also, like I said before, I'm putting in a plug again for the Vera tool, VERA. Make an appointment, and that's just not for Boston, that's anywhere in the country. Make an appointment to talk to a benefits counselor, or we have our old phone number that we've had for many, many years, 1-800-827-1000, and folks are welcome to call that number.
That's great.
And also on va.gov website, you can also search for all the contact information for all of the regional offices throughout the nation, and also any out-based clinics that might be associated with the VA too. So for example, here in Massachusetts, we have the Boston Regional Office for VRNE, but we also have out-based clinics in Worcester and in Springfield too. And on this website, it provides all this information.
Well, I think that's super helpful. I think the fact is that there are resources available to our veterans and the families of veterans. And it's hard, but it is a bureaucracy, it sounds like, and which, like any large organization is, and you just have to start the process, and hopefully you'll be, for those that do reach out, they're going to be put into a track that's going to get them the benefits they so need and deserve. So I'm so glad that we were able to do this information podcast, because I think the services that the VA is providing, and that you and the both Cathy and Alyssa are leading, are just so vital. And I'm glad that you were able to communicate that to us. And I thank you so much for what you've done and what you will continue to do. And I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you,
welcome.
Peter. My pleasure.
Cathy and Alyssa, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your service and everything that you do for our community and obviously nationwide. This isn't just your local community. Like you said, Cathy, there's all sorts of resources and ability to contact you from a nationwide audience. So thank you. And Peter, that's beautiful, right? Because your podcast is nationwide. Absolutely.
It is.
Peter,
Absolutely.
thank you for this. I mean, this means a lot to me personally. And I just appreciate the fact that you are bringing great information to the audience. And not just, all the stuff that you do on a financial basis, on a daily basis with all your clients, you're serving the general public as well with great information. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Eric. I will say that in our series about veteran services, our next podcast will be on veterans healthcare and what's available there. So I think that'll also be an interesting and helpful podcast to
absolutely.
Our
all right.
listeners.
I look forward to that. And of course, our last thank you always goes to you, listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Wealth is in the Details podcast with Peter Raskin. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Peter comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask that you share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, as this actually helps others find the show. And that's the point, really, of this one. People need to find this show, people that are veterans or family members or friends of veterans, so they can share it and hear it and actually maybe take some action. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Raskin Planning Group, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Wealth is in the Details podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available.
The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Lincoln Financial Advisors Corp. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Peter Raskin is a registered representative of Lincoln Financial Advisors. Securities offered through Lincoln Financial Advisors Corp., a broker-dealer, member SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through SageMark Consulting, a division of Lincoln Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance offered through Lincoln affiliates and other fine companies. Raskin Planning Group is a marketing name for registered representatives of Lincoln Financial Advisors. Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation and its representatives do not provide legal or tax advice. You may want to consult a legal or tax advisor regarding any legal or tax information as it relates to your personal circumstances.